Hi there, welcome to Hey Sound Guy, a podcast where I'll be peeking behind the curtains of the wonderful world of music. Each week I'll be speaking to sound engineers, music industry professionals, and musicians, and we'll share some fun stories from the road. Now, my next guest is a brilliant guitarist. I've had the pleasure of working with him a few times at Ronnie Scott's. He has a new album which is out called The Sleeper Wakes that came out in July. He's written a book called An Introduction to Perfect Fourths Tuning. And there we have it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great pleasure chatting with this fantastic guitarist. Please welcome my good friend, Ant Law.
Hey, thanks for welcoming me.
Hey, thank you for agreeing to doing this.
My pleasure, man. Yeah, it's really rare actually. This is like one of the only things that was in my diary and is staying as something that happened on that date.
Fantastic.
You know,
Yeah.
everything else is probably cancelled, or 90% of it is, and then 10% is just postponed. But this is the beacon of, scheduling.
Fantastic. Well, it's a couple hours out, but it's okay. I take it the builders have gone for the day, have they?
Oh yes, yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that. Thanks for being flexible. By the way,
of course. Actually, you helped me out because I'm building a sauna. So yeah, it was a welcome little extra couple of hours in the middle of the day there.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing, man. What, in your garden or?
Yeah. Behind my shed, there's a nice little spot. I've been thinking about it for a while.
Yeah.
And then, thinking leads to doing. If you think about something enough, is what they say. The three steps of creation is the thought, the word, and then the deed. So I did all the thinking and I did all the talking, and so I kind of had to put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah, you reached the point. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, you've also picked probably like the hottest days of the year to build an even hotter room.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, it's just gorgeous. I'm without the shirt all day outside working. Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah, my family's complaining because it's it looks like a building site in my backyard.
Right.
Because it's all the only wood I've bought so far, or the only things I bought are some screws and 4 decking boards. The rest is all recycled wood. So it's every second, third day I bring a bunch of pallets, and then I take them apart, and then I just crack on.
That's great, man. That's so cool. You're doing it with recycled wood. Man, tell me, so where did you sort of discover saunas and start to and start with that? Well,
saunas is... I've always liked going to saunas. I used to, when I went to the gym, I used to prefer the steam room a bit. Yeah. And then, I don't know, I kind of just switched over to the sauna. And, I know the health benefits of the sauna. And I can, speak from personal experience. After a nice workout, you go sit in the sauna and it's just nice, And then the cold shower afterwards. It's a winner because the cold showers help with inflammation, helps with helps keep your immunity strong, helps with your digestion, keeps your skin good. It's just it's been a year now that I've been doing cold showers.
And, so you don't do hot showers, you just do cold showers as part of your day to day?
Yeah, just cold showers. Yeah. And now, I've probably had maybe about 10 hot showers in the last year. Wow. And I'm just not used to it anymore. It's like it doesn't feel the same.
Hardcore, man. I got to try it. I do cold showers after sauna, but
it's the best.
Normally not. But when the weather's hot like this, you feel I reckon I could get into it. But even in winter, you do colds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, February was hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because that's not a cold shower, that's a really cold shower, because the water's just the temperature of outside, right? One of my favorite things about winter is that the tap water is so cold and refreshing. Yeah. And then in summer it's just, you drink from the taps. It's not as nice,
the same. It's like a lukewarm beer.
Yeah, exactly.
Just not quite the same.
Yeah.
How have you been, man? What have you been doing, keeping yourself occupied?
Yeah, so I mean, I was relatively quick pulling the trigger on a couple of microphones and an audio interface, because recording at home's been something that, I've thought, wouldn't it be great if I could do that? But obviously being quite busy playing and doing other things, I just haven't really got around to it. So then when it was like, no, you have to stay in, pretty much, I went for it. Yeah, so learning how this all connects up gradually, like loading up Logic on my computer for the first time.
Right.
So now, it felt like really easy to actually just start recording. Whereas, I mean, I had never done that before.
Well, you're always welcome to give me a call. I'll give you a hand or a tips, whatever I can help with. I'm always happy to help, bro.
That's great, man. It suddenly occurred to me actually, because maybe last week I posted on Facebook, who can help me mix a track?
Oh,
and because I don't know how to do anything on Logic, and then I mean you could help me with that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Send it over.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
and also
when we're done here,
stuff
just do
like
a
editing.
Dropbox or something. Yeah, all right. When we're done with this, just put it in a Dropbox or a WeTransfer or something, and I'll have a look for it.
Oh, that's very kind, man. Yeah, and also, I want to, not only do I want a fish, I also would like to learn the method of fishing. So maybe we can, maybe you can show me some like absolute beginner stuff. I don't know how to crossfade properly, so I can't really cut between takes. That's making it quite stressful. Like, for example, you were mentioning earlier the builders. So upstairs are doing a lot of work, which is kind of unfortunate timing, but that's life.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'd be delighted if I wasn't in quarantine. It would still be annoying, to have drilling and hammering.
Exactly.
So, but so it means I really have to get one complete take without me messing up and without a hammer or a drill, hammer striking or a drill turning. So so it's been quite hard, but it's also been quite calm. I don't know. Have you found that things have just kind of slowed? I mean, you've been prolific on Facebook. Like you made like biltong, recipe with biltong, building a sauna. You've been busy, man.
I have been quite busy actually. I definitely feel more relaxed. But in the last sort of maybe 10 days, I've had this weird kind of almost anxiety, where I'm like, things are starting back up, and I haven't done everything I wanted to do. I feel like I haven't done enough.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I've been. I mean, I've never been as. How can I say this? Not as worried about money as I am now. Where back in the day you're always chasing, you're always going, it's 110 miles an hour, and now you're like, well, there's nothing really I can do.
Yeah, it's
Plus,
crazy,
I'm not going out, so I'm not spending, so it's really just food.
Yeah, that's it, man. Normally, like my finances are so finely tuned because I don't know about you, but being mostly self-employed, the amount of money I earn is pretty much exactly how many gigs I do in a month, or how many, and sessions and stuff. So that's completely out the window. So I'm just going, right, okay, so I have to rebuild. And luckily last year was a good enough year that I'm not freaking out. Like you're saying, I'm kind of not stressing. But in 3 months, I may be. So it's trying to rebuild with a pace enough that there's not going to be any hairy moments. I don't really want to get a different job, for example.
Oh, I hear you, man.
Some of my friends are doing that, and that's cool, I mean, maybe I will change my mind, and maybe that would be a good thing to do, but
in a month or so you'll be like, oh shit, I better go stack some shelves at Tesco's or something.
I've done that before, man. I used to do night shifts actually doing that.
All right.
Really weird, emerging as the sun rose once or twice in the morning, having done that. Very strange, because you don't use much of your mind, so you're thinking so much while you're doing it,
Yeah, it's like almost you're doing all the admin whilst you're just on autopilot.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. How I normally start this is if you can introduce yourself, tell us what it is that you do and how you came to do that.
Yeah, my name is Anthony Law, although I tend to be called Ant, and I play guitar, which is how we met. I was playing, I think it was a couple of late shows at Ronnie's, although possibly we met there before. But anyway, yeah, I pretty much just play guitar. I teach a little bit of guitar now as well. Mostly jazz. I love to improvise and play spontaneous, creative music, but not exclusively. So I like to play other types of more commercial music as well from time to time. And that's probably about it, really.
Great. Yeah. So, when did you start playing guitar? When did the bug bite you?
Ooh, yeah. I think I was like 10 or it's around 10, and seeing like videos of Slash and also Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
I always mention this, but my history teacher at school was a big Stevie Ray Vaughan fan, and he had this amazing video of Stevie Ray Vaughan live at the El Macambo, which I think is a club in Canada somewhere. But this set that Stevie plays, there's so much music out there, and everyone's recommending stuff the whole time, man. But if you think you might dig like electric blues, this is just an unbelievable performance from Stevie. And I think, there's a lot of showmanship in that as well, in that performance. And so that really caught my imagination when I was young. So, probably like 10, 12, 14. And I was learning classical piano, but I never really learned how to enjoy music on the piano in the same way. Like guitar was always just playing for fun. I didn't have lessons, actually. I still haven't really had that many lessons at all. But piano, it was all like you go to lessons and it's focused around that. So, I guess around 10. So that's maybe 26 years. Oh my gosh, that's a while.
That's a while, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, were you said you were studying classical piano before that?
Yeah, although I can't remember, I'm afraid. I can't remember what age I started that. It can't have been much younger than that. In fact, maybe I'm getting it all wrong. Maybe I started piano at 10. I can't remember, man. It's too far back. I can't even remember what I did last week. But certainly my family were really musical. So, my mum and dad would like play guitar and sing a little bit. And we always used to listen to music from a much earlier age.
Mm-hmm. So music was always in the house, and it's the same with me, man. I've always had music in the house. There was always a radio on. There's also, and I remember where I kind of realized how important music is to me is I used to, my old man had his office was just outside, and we used to sit there for nights, working out how to build computers and to fix things. And, we were both into computers. And there was always a radio playing. We were always listening to music. And I used to, as soon as it starts, I'll name the song and I'll name, the band and all these. And, it just sort of like, okay. And music has always been an important part of my life. And I've always known that I wanted to do something in music. I play guitar as well. Not, I started when I was 18. But unfortunately, recently, kind of neglected it a little bit. Just finding the time, really. And I like to kind of be a bit of a jack of all trades kind of thing. I still grab my guitar every now and then, and I'll write a song and I'll record it. And then do the whole thing, and then I'll be like, okay, that's that now, and then I leave it again for a bit, and I go do other things, because something I've mentioned before is I think the importance of having a hobby or outside interests is very important, because it just colors your gives a more vibrant feel to your main thing. For instance, I used this example with my daughter the other day. She's with a friend of hers. They're writing a little musical together. So over the Zoom, they're like writing and talking. And I said to her, we wanted to go to the park, and she didn't want to go to the park. I said, okay, well, imagine to yourself, you're sitting down, you want to write a piece of music about going to the park.
Yeah.
You can imagine things that will happen. You can sort of predict maybe this would have happened, that would have happened, but actually going there and you're like, oh, look, there's a pretty bird, or oh, somebody nearly got run over or something, there's always something.
What an adventure that was, man. That was all going great with the bird, but then
and then
someone nearly got run up. That was the narrative can go like that.
I guess I shouldn't really push them in front of cars, that's not a good thing.
But no, you're absolutely right. Like I think our lives inform our musical expression, and I don't know, maybe you can hear it, the people that don't get out much, maybe their music is less human. I certainly think that about some of the people that make up without kind of throwing shade, but there's a kind of online community on kind of Instagram and things like that, and kind of building your playing around the format of like a 1 minute video.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of a shame because, I mean,
you can't really convey emotion that.
Yeah. But who am I to say? I mean, the only thing that's important really is that, all that matters about a piece of music is the response of the listener. And
Well, I suppose also how it makes you feel, especially if it's a piece that you wrote, what it will always reconnect you with that time, and how a piece of music can transport you into a different time in a second. You hear a song, you're like, I remember that time, but you could have heard a song 1,000 times before or after, but it's funny how it's just that one single moment that it's like, oh, I remember that. And then when you write a song as well, there's all the emotions that were tied to it, the time of your life, where you were, what you were doing, all these things just sort of come rushing back. And if you feel good about the music that you're writing, and also the like you said, the audience, if they respond well to that, that's just there's no equivalent to that.
So did you manage to convince her to come to the park with you?
Oh yeah.
Great.
Well, I mean, I ask, and then afterwards I put my foot down.
Okay.
I am still the law.
Yeah, I am the law.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
You're the law.
Yeah.
Like Judge Dredd, I'm the law.
Exactly. This whole district is under arrest and so on.
That's brilliant, man. Brilliant. So you started on the guitar, sort of primary school-ish, beginning of high school, and then was that it? And you were like, okay, I'm gonna make this my life, or was it a casual thing for a while?
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking about that when you were saying about how you knew you always wanted to work in music. Musical existence is a very strange one. I know so many people. I was talking to a friend of mine who I know is a keyboard player. We played in some theatre shows together, but turns out he was a mix engineer in a studio, like full time for a bit, and then he was like MD for some pop artists, and he used to play like keyboard and trumpet, and I didn't even know that. People have it's so non-linear. The musical and artistic existence is so it's just so random, and it makes it quite hard when you're sort of growing up and you want to do something like that. It's very hard to sort of, you don't really know which direction to go in. Like if you really like if you want to be a doctor or want to be a lawyer or whatever, some of these things are a lot more linear. I mean, you don't have to take that linear path, but it's there. But if I want to be a guitar player, what's the path? I mean, you don't even have to study music. In fact,
in some form,
it's maybe better if you don't study music. But I think so. I was a bit of a rebel, and when it came to the decision, I was lucky enough to go to university, to be in a position where that was the thing that was going to happen, and my parents were saying go to uni, and I'm very glad that I did. But I decided, I got it in my head that I didn't want to study music. I think I like the idea of being like a musician amongst like normal people or something. It's hard for me to cast my mind back nearly 20 years.
No, I get that. I totally understand that, yeah.
Yeah. So I chose to study physics anyway, and then as soon as I was doing that, and I'd done a couple of those other more mundane jobs, like I was saying, stacking shelves in Tesco, and I worked in a post office as well. And I had maybe a little bit of experience of teaching guitar and things. So then I really realized that, okay, what I actually want to do is I want to try to play guitar for a living. And, you know, some days I really, like I do that now. And some days it's great. Most days it's great. But, you know, some days it's like, oh, it'd be nice to have a day off, you know. I remember I used to take guitars if I went on holiday. Now, I mean, I don't go on holiday that much, but if I do, I definitely don't take a guitar. It's like,
I hear you.
I need a rest, you know. But it's about balance, right? It's about balance. Again, like you were saying, you need the experiences. You write the music, but then you have the experiences. They inform the music. We need to feel inspired when we pick up an instrument.
Yes.
To play it, and similarly, when we make a sound, we have to be inspired by the sound.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's not something which I mean, it's certainly not something which I was taught when I was developing, you know, really focus on the sound. I mean, actually, I wasn't taught anything, that's why. And I guess when you're learning piano, you're at the mercy of whoever bought the piano, you know.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it's even been tuned in the last year, maybe not. But, you know, to be taught a real kind of spiritual approach to music, like just like be calm and try to really, really listen and enjoy each note. You know, it's taken me nearly 4 decades to be able to do that and allow myself to do that and think about that.
To be able to get the sounds out that's in your head.
Yeah. I mean, that's a mirage. I'm always chasing that, but just to have that more considered spiritual approach to the music and to try to love each note, you know.
Mm-hmm. Not do like Spinal Tap say in the jazz world, you know, play all the wrong notes.
The wrong notes are great though.
So
the wrong notes are great.
And then you got to accentuate it. You got to play it again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If it's a mistake, exactly. If you do it once, it's a mistake. You do it like 2 or 3 times, then it's jazz or something. However, these silly jazz quotes go. I like
so, you are quite a phenomenal guitarist, as you said before. I've seen you play a few times, and I've really enjoyed your playing very much.
No,
a lot of feel. I can see that spirituality that you talk about. I can feel that, and I can hear it in the music when you play. You wrote a book on open tuning. Can you walk us through that a little bit, where that came from and how the idea came? It's on Hal Leonard, is it?
Mel Bay. Well, yeah, the other one.
Right.
Yeah, it's like Mel and Hal.
Yeah, it's too close together.
So like, I mean, most people probably on guitar, since I have one here, you know, people learn guitar and they learn this chord, they learn D, and then they learn A, and then they learn E.
Yes.
And actually, you know, you can play D like that, but you can also use this kind of A shape to play it here, and then you can also use that E shape to play it here.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like there's like there's 3 shapes. There's more than that actually, but there's 3 shapes to start off with to play one chord. And I just thought that's a bit of a pain, you know. And I realized it was because when you tune a guitar, you go 5th fret, 5th fret, 4th fret, and then 5th fret.
Yes.
If it was 5th fret all the way up, the 5th fret, that creates an interval of a perfect 4th. So sometimes people call the tuning where you tune all to the 5th fret. That's what I use. Sometimes we call that perfect 4ths tuning. Right. But yeah, I mean, there's loads of different ways of tuning guitar. They're all different. They're all cool.
Yes, there are. Yes, man.
But yeah, 4ths means that. So for me, this is D, and this is D, and this is D. So now for me, D minor, D major 7, D diminished major 7, D major 7 sharp 5. Now, if I was in standard tuning, I would have to learn one shape here, and then I would have to do a completely different shape on this part of the neck because of that relationship in the open strings. So that's kind of that was the genesis of it. And I also thought, why don't I take a chance and do something a bit crazy that's going to make me a little bit different to all the other guitar players. To be honest, I actually don't think it makes me all that different, because a certain melody is going to sound great whether it's on this guitar or a standard tuning guitar, or a ukulele or a violin or a singer. Beautiful music exists outside the instrument, but certainly it gives me a little bit of a different route in than. Well,
you've just taken something. You've broken the mold a little bit, and you've made it work for you. You've made this thing, because I mean, the guitar is a fantastic instrument, but as you said, you got to learn all the shapes, and there's different places in the neck, and if you can just simplify that for yourself, why the hell not, man? I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that. I remember I did that thing where I played bass in a metal band for a while, and as you do, I bought a 6-string bass.
Great. So is that like a low B and a high C?
But I tuned the C down to a B, so it's B to B.
Okay, so very like guitar.
Yeah.
Like a 7-string guitar without the top string.
That's it, and an octave lower.
Yes.
So I mean, for me, it kind of just made sense to have it B to B. I don't know why, to keep it like a guitar.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just, too stupid to learn a whole bunch of new sort of patterns in my head.
Mate, I hate learning. Learning's so painful, man. I've been trying to learn how to do the most simple stuff in Logic, and it's so painful.
It's really, it also depends on what it is that you want to do. If it's something that you're doing out of necessity, then I suppose the learning curve would be harder. But if it's something that you enjoy, I bet, for you, sitting down learning a tune is joy. Depending on the tune and how much heartache it gives you to get through it. But, it's all relative, really. But again, what I think we can do probably is we can do like a call like this, and I can do a screen share or something and show you what I'm doing.
Oh, that's very kind, man.
And that'll maybe help.
You better stop offering, man, because I am going to take you up on one of these.
No, you do it, man. You absolutely do it. I've been, I mean, our industry is kind of has fallen flat on its face in terms of, I mean, musicians can still go out and perform. I mean, you can go and busk, you can go do these things, but it's not like a single musician is going to take a sound engineer with them to go busk on the street. You know what I mean? So for us, it's a bit of a. I'm still looking at things to do, maybe considering other avenues of creating money. Which is one of the reasons why I decided to build the sauna, because if I can make it work, I can maybe offer out my services. But
man,
I'll see how that goes. I need a bigger
garden, man. I want a sauna.
I've been speaking to some of my neighbors, because same time last year, I built my daughter a tree house.
Yeah.
And met up just, as we go for our daily walk to the park, met up with some neighbors. Oh, we'd like to have a treehouse. Maybe you can build one for us. I'm like,
Yeah.
So, maybe it's time to use my hands a little bit.
Yeah, man. But when do you have any idea when you might next do a night at Ronnie's, for example?
Well, no.
I mean, have they communicated, I haven't really checked their website or anything. I'm just assuming that I'm not going to play any gigs.
I think kind of the word along the grapevine is that social distancing isn't going to work in a place like Ronnie Scott's.
No.
If you have 60 people in there, you know what it's like when there's only 60 people.
Yeah.
Out of, say, 225 is the capacity. So if you're about a quarter, it's about 55-ish. And it's, the whole thing about Ronnie's is that it's got the vibe when it's full and people are buzzing, and I mean, half full you can get away with it still, if it's late night and everybody's having a good time.
But it's great when it's buzzy.
For sure. So having only 60 people in there is not really worth it. Not for not for the audience, not for the musicians.
Yeah.
Because we did the day before the actual lockdown started. We did a live stream for Ashley Henry.
Yeah.
So it was myself, the videographer, and one of the booking agents, Nick Lewis.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the band, and the drummer was 17, so his mum was there as well. So it was 7 of us in the club, and it was so weird to have a gig in there. And I mean, Ashley kept mentioning, is like, man, this is so weird to play for no one.
Yeah.
And I mean, he didn't play for no one. I think that stream got like 87,000 views.
Wow.
On the day, and probably a whole bunch more since. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Live music, as you said, it's better with people there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's not really worth it for them to open under these sort of conditions. I don't know if maybe they're talking about doing live streams or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just a grunt.
But maybe by the beginning of next year.
Hopefully.
Or end of this year. Or,
well, yeah. I mean, the sooner the better. But again, who knows what's going to happen with this thing?
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's going to burn itself out soon enough, and then it's just going to be back to normal.
Yeah, man.
It's so weird though that they're quarantining all the healthy people. It's
I never thought about
weird.
it. But yeah, that's true.
I mean, if you think about the word quarantine comes from the Latin word quaranta, so it's like 40 days. During the Black Plague, they would quarantine, they would isolate the sick people for 40 days.
Yeah.
And that's where the whole concept comes from.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a...
Excuse me.
Bless you. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, but well, you know what? We'll make it through. It's and we'll also have lived through something that's quite a historical moment. It's a pivotal point.
I hope it's an outlier in our lives. I hope it's not like, in a couple of years' time we're like, here's another one.
Yeah. No, we gotta. Best thing we gotta do is just keep ourselves strong. Cold showers, bro.
Yeah. All right, man. I'll try to try one. How's that?
It's so much easier in the summer, and now, like we said, it's now I take a cold shower, and because I don't open the hot water at all. It's just cold water. And it's kind of lukewarm.
It's not even that cold.
It's not even really cold. Yeah. In the winter, after washing your hair, it's like you get an ice cream headache. It's like so super cold. You got to psych yourself up for about half an hour before. I usually try and do my yoga before, so I'm all hot and sweaty and ready to get in.
Yeah,
to get
so
into
that it
the
feels
shower.
refreshing.
Yeah.
Hey man, sorry, give me 1 second.
Do your thing.
Safe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the key. Get really hot.
Yeah.
And then it will. I'll get back to you anyway. I'll let you know if I do brave it.
No, it's. I mean, it's so many aspects to it. It's not just refreshing and reinvigorating. It's also for mental health really, really good.
Yeah.
For things like anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
It really, really does help.
Wicked.
And I mean, in the time when I started these things, I was kind of going through a bit of a low point, and I can say that it really does help to just boost your mental stability and things like that. So there's so many factors in there, and now hopefully when the sauna's done, probably next week, it's gonna be sweating and then cold showers.
So it's gonna be hot up and running next week.
I hope so.
Oh man!
I've finished. The floor's down. I put a layer of bricks, just loose bricks down, and then I built the bottom's done. I built the roof yesterday, and I built the side walls and the back wall today.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not cladded yet. It's still just the frame.
Yeah.
And since I'm recycling all the wood, it takes a little bit of time. and I've been doing loads of research and stuff like that. Can I use the pallet wood on the on the inside, because I don't want to have anything that's treated, and once it gets hot, then maybe I'm breathing toxic fumes or something, which would not really be ideal.
No.
But a lot of these pallets I've found, because they've got markings on the side, and it tells you how the wood's been treated.
Okay.
And since they churn these things out in their millions, they're not really going to spend much time to treat it and to put all these things. And so what they do with the wood is they heat treat it. So it's just wood basically. So that'll be safe.
Cool.
So tomorrow I'll build the front frame, and I got to build the door. I found a nice big piece of glass. So I got to build that into a door frame, build the door, and then I'll start with the cladding. I'll probably do the outside first, and I'll do this sort of Japanese technique of you burn the outside of the wood, so it's not burnt, but it's sort of charred, and that's it's like basically protecting it from the outside elements.
Nice.
I can't remember the name of this sort of technique.
That's cool.
But what it does is it draws all the moisture out the wood, and it chars the outside, so it's a sealant.
Yeah.
So the wood on the inside is dry, and it's not going to rot or anything. And as soon as it gets rain or all these things, it just runs straight down. So I'm gonna try that again. Yeah, and then I found a guy not too far from here. I got to kind of also look at my sort of vicinity, because my car has got a leak in the radiator. So I've always got like a 5 liter of water with me and some engine coolant. So I go within sort of like a 10-mile radius to go pick things up.
Otherwise, you might not make it back.
That I don't want to do that, and I don't particularly have money to spend on fixing my car right now. There's other things that are a priority.
Man, I love your fearless approach though. You're like, I want a sauna, okay, I'm going to build it. I want a tree house, I'm going to build it.
Yeah, man.
I love that.
Just got to do it. It's all inside of us, know. But I mean, I've been sort of doing carpentry since I was a small boy. My old man, he's a teacher. And a lot of the time he used to have the sort of the woodworking, the carpentry section. So he'd have a workshop at school, and we stayed in the hostel because we've got boarding schools in South Africa. Well, I mean you do here as well, but back home, especially in the smaller towns where I come from, lots of boarding schools, because it's already a small town, but then there's tiny towns that are sort of like dotted about where they don't have a high school or a primary school.
Yeah.
So they and driving 60 to 80 kilometers every day to and from, it just doesn't make sense. So there's a lot of boarding schools and stuff. And so we always lived on the premises of the school, in the boarding school, that we'd have a flat. And so we'd be there. So we'd be in the school grounds all the time.
Yeah.
So and whenever I went to, on holidays, we used to go to my grandparents' house. And my grandpa had all the tools, and he had the garage, and he'd just let us loose. He'd be like, go for it.
Yeah.
And the amount of times I'd run inside because I'd sawed my hand or something, And so I've kind of been doing these things all my life, man. And I've always had a passion for it. But I mean, the good thing about using recycled wood as well, you can be a bit more fearless. You can just go like, if I mess it up, so what? I'll just get another piece.
Yeah, it's not
rather
like
than
some
spending
priceless
a bunch of money on it.
Yeah.
And another reason, like if I do decide to kind of put myself forward to to build these things, maybe then I will, because as I'm sort of doing research on how to do it and what I need and all these sorts, I'm looking up prices as well. So I'm kind of like making, I'm sort of budgeting for if somebody does tell me how much is it going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, mine's going to be tiny. The inside footprint is 110 centimeters by 95 centimeters. So it's not super big. it's a one person sauna.
You could maybe get two in there though.
I probably could do.
Squeeze.
But kind of looking at it and where the seat's going to be, I don't really want to get too close to the the furnace, to the wood burner, which this was part of my story. I found a guy that sells empty propane tanks, so they're $5 each. I'm going to go next week and pick up a couple of these propane tanks, and then I can build myself a wood stove.
Wicked.
So yeah, hopefully by next weekend I'll be saunaing.
Yeah, man. Oh, I'm jealous. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good.
Hey, man, I was just remembering a couple of sauna experiences, notable sauna experiences.
Oh, right. Tell us about that.
Yeah, one I think was like, you know the way like in the UK, if you were in a sauna, you would probably have some swimming shorts on, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But then if you're in Germany or somewhere like that, I remember, I'm British, so I was wearing swimming shorts. And I don't mean that it's a British value to wear swimming shorts, but like it's maybe like British to not be naked.
Yeah, to be a bit more modest.
Yeah, to be uncomfortable naked, you know. But yeah, being in a sauna in like Germany and with like 3 or 4 older German ladies, and they were like, what are you doing? Like, you know, what is this? You have to like, it's not healthy. Yeah, you know, you gotta take them off. It's amazing that like, because you'd have the exact same response the opposite way around if you were in a UK sauna, where if you're trying to take them off, they're like, no, keep them on.
Yeah, I know the sort of the northern countries of Europe, they all do the naked sauna.
Yeah,
you know. I mean, if I'm in there by myself, I'll take the clothes off.
Yeah,
you know. But if there are other people there, it's, you know, not so much for me, but more out of a respect for other people.
Yeah, just to fit in with how people like to do things.
The same kind of way I've been approaching this whole sort of going to the shop and social distancing thing. I don't mind. You know, I don't care one way or the other. If the whole point of the quarantine was to flatten the curve, not to stop it completely, because at some point we're all going to have to get it, I think.
Yeah.
So I kind of keep clear of people for them, you know, to try and, you know, out of respect for them and their wishes and stuff like that. So, you know, it would be the same concept when I go into the sauna. I'm not just going to go in there king dingaling when there are other people there. You know, they might not want to see or try to see what I've got.
Yeah. I was trying to think of some way of reasoning that
or something.
With social distancing, it's important to protect the vulnerable members of society, and the same is true of your nudity, you know?
Of course, yeah. People
are vulnerable to that.
Yeah, absolutely. They, you know, it's going to cause them sleepless nights to think, is this guy a guy or is he a girl?
I think they know from the beard, man. It's fine.
Probably.
I'm very impressed by your beard, man. This is after, you know, a good amount of time, but it's still not filling out. How long have you had your beard? You've been growing it for a while.
Last time I shaved it clean was 2017.
Okay.
I think I shaved my head and my beard and everything. I was looking like a baby for a while, and ever since then. But I mean, I give it a trim every now and then. You know, got to try and keep it healthy,
looks
keep
tidy,
the split
man.
ends away. Oh, thank you. Yeah, and you know, a bit of beard oil, a nice little bit of beard oil is always good.
Yeah.
And a nice, I've got a boar brush, like boar bristle brush, and they help. That really helps to strengthen your beard and to, you know, strengthen the follicles and stuff. So if you wanted to thicken out,
I got to get some products.
Brush it every day, man.
Yeah.
There's a hold on, I'll grab it.
Awesome. I'm very excited about this.
I got a couple of these babies here, so you can see it's just like a nice brush.
Yeah.
And then I found this oil is really good. It's also an accelerator, so Swiss Lab series. I'll send you a link.
Yeah, do it, man. Cool.
And that's really good. It's got it's got nice oils and stuff in there, so you don't, it doesn't smell bad. It's quite pleasant.
Yeah.
And just keeps it nice and smooth.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, you say you've been doing some online teaching and stuff. How's that working out? Is it 1-to-1, or do you do videos and upload it to a channel?
It's just been 1-to-1 actually. I teach at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama in Cardiff. I mean, I used to go there.
Right.
Once a month I'd go and do about 2 days, but now that's all online. And I also have a couple of pupils at Goldsmiths. So yeah, it's just one-on-ones. I do think that everyone's got something to share, perhaps including me. So I wouldn't rule out the idea of uploading things when I can maybe finesse and package my ideas for people a little bit more. I think that's a really cool idea. I guess that's what I was thinking with the Perfect Fourths book, but that's just a really simple introduction. But yeah, at the moment it's just one-on-ones, and lots of people sometimes just contact me on my website or on social media asking about compositions, or that's been a theme actually recently, people asking about how do you write tunes, and I'm always like, I don't know.
Who knows where ideas come from? They just appear.
That's it. Yeah. But I guess it's good. It's good to be told that. I guess maybe if I like someone's compositions and they say, I don't know how I compose, but there are usually things you can talk about. I think you just have to zoom out a little bit. I think balance. Yeah. Balance is important. A balanced meal. Balanced. Yes. A balanced piece of music.
It's definitely. You won't think about it until you have to think about it. So for you, it's a process that you've internalized from years of doing it. So for you, it's not so much of a thing that you think about, but then maybe somebody says to you, "Oh, what do you think about maybe this composition? How did you do it? What these sorts of things?" And then it kind of gets the monkey on the wheel inside your noggin to start thinking about these things a little bit more. And to just breaking it down. And I find that teaching really does sort of hone your craft, because you like I said, you've internalized these things, and now they're sort of second nature. You don't think about it, but then when you have to go back to the basics and teach that to somebody, and a lot of the times, no, not a lot of the times, but sometimes people don't quite grasp the normal way in which you say it. Then you gotta revisit that, and you gotta try and break it down in a different way, so these people can then understand you. So it's a really good way to hone your craft and to also to get better yourself. I've always enjoyed teaching quite a lot. I think maybe it's because both my parents are teachers.
Nice. Yeah, mine too, and my sister is as well.
Oh right! Yeah. Wow, a whole family of teachers.
Yeah,
and then you as well. So
Yeah, I guess I am. Yeah, I guess I feel I should be qualified, but I'm not qualified. But I'm already doing it. So, or maybe that's qualification enough. I think sometimes people they want to have a practitioner just as much as they want to have more of an academic, and probably a lot of the pupils I'm teaching, they have many lecturers who are more rooted in the academia, and then I'm a very practical person. I'm always coming at it from the same angle that I'm coming at it for myself, which is how can I use a concept, how can I use a chord, how can I use a pedal or a scale or whatever it is. So
don't just go learn it all by memory, but when you do it, think about how to incorporate it and how to. Do you sometimes hear music in your head when you're like walking outside, when you're doing something when you just a tune that sort of comes to you? And
sometimes, sometimes. Actually, it doesn't happen that often anymore. I don't think there's a lot of room in there. I think there's a lot going in all the time and a lot churning around, and I think there has to be a bit of. This is the sort of time now where things have slowed. This is the sort of time where that would happen, but. There's one melody that came to me recently, and I just couldn't believe it because I thought it was so nice. And sometimes when that happens, you just think, oh, who's this by? You know, and then you actually go, no, I think this is by
this
me.
Is
but
mine.
like,
this is,
you know,
this
I just
is by
I just found it by accident. You know, I didn't like write it. It just came and went bosh. Into my head.
It's weird that way, isn't it? I mean, I've had sometimes when I used to play a lot more, I would sometimes wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, fuck, this is great.
Yeah.
And my wife used to get so angry with me because I'd get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'd go into the living room and I'd start playing this tune out. I'd start working it out. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, sorry, it came to me.
Yeah.
Who knows where thoughts come from? It's brilliant. Have you ever watched that movie, Empire Records?
Oh,
Old
man.
movie.
But that's years ago, man.
Yeah.
Like 20 years ago or something.
I watched it again
It's
recently.
like Liv Tyler in it, right?
Yes, man, you know it.
And they have like a fake funeral for someone, because that's for
correct,
Liv, right?
No, not for her. She organized it. It's for the Tani something, the one she was also in. What's that fucking show? The Mentalist. Did you ever watch that?
No, I haven't seen it. No, good.
It's great. It's fantastic. It's not on anymore. It's about a mentalist who provoked a serial killer one time, and this guy came and killed his whole family, and then he starts working for the LAPD, and it's pretty good. It's but anyway, she's in that, and she's the one. She's this sort of goth chick that wanted to try and kill herself, but she didn't really. It's maybe just a call for attention.
Yeah, it takes me back,
brilliant.
man. It's old school. That's like Bad Boys or Ace Ventura or one of those that you watch that.
Well, there's a couple of those that are just sort of you got to watch it again every now and then. Big Lebowski's one of them. I got to watch that like once every 6 months at least.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. I've always been the two things that for me have always been sort of big things. One is music, and the other one was movies.
Great.
And
anything you checked out? Anything great recent? Like any recent films or anything recently? Actually, it doesn't have to be a new. What's your recommendation from isolation for films?
Oh man!
Did you see The Shape of Water?
I have. That was great.
That was insane, right?
That's fantastic. Yeah, but I mean, Guillermo del Toro is such a fantastic director. Is honestly everything is done. Like I think the first one of his that I saw was Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah, me too. That was great.
That was such a good movie, and it's. I love when the movie kind of leaves you with. Was it real or did they get away or did they actually die and they're thinking that they're? It's It's great, man. I love those movies that just keep you, because it engages you for longer than the film does.
Yes.
Because your brain's thinking about it, and you're thinking about it for like days afterwards.
Yeah.
You're like, I can't get this out of my head.
Yeah, it's cool.
And he's a fantastic
magical
director.
realism does that. Have you read anything by Haruki Murakami?
No, I haven't.
He's you might dig it, man. He's a Japanese author, but like his books, everything will be just going along as normal in terms of events happening in day-to-day life, and then all of a sudden things will get so weird and twist your brain and force your imagination to go to places and as in just kind of conceptually that you couldn't really represent very well in a film. I think he leaves a lot of the work to you. So some of these things would, if they were represented by a film, it would go, oh, okay, whereas actually something can be really confusing sometimes, and that's kind of built into his stories.
That's great.
Yeah, check one out, man.
It's a shame when they do with movies. It is like you say. It's just the limitation, really, because when you read a book, your imagination just goes in all different directions. I mean, I read this article a little while ago because for quite a long time I would try and use every hour in the day to just
Respect.
fill my noggin with more information and do research, if you will, on different things, and getting really into it. And I found this article at the right time when I was kind of mentally exhausted. Because even when I'm at work, it's not always a physical, even though there are physical aspects to our job, but it's very mentally engaging. You gotta, if you're doing it right, obviously there are guys that don't do it right, but you gotta keep eye contact with the musician, and there's 3, 4, 5, sometimes 22 of them on stage. Also gauge the audience, listen all the time, make sure that there's no frequencies that are out of whack, there's no feedback anywhere, nothing's too loud or too quiet. So it's very engaging. So I just got to the point where I was so fucking exhausted. And I found this article, and it just it went like shh. If you read fiction, it stimulates your brain, to when, I think it's something like up to 3 months after you finish the last page, it stimulates your brain, and the amount of information that you can absorb after that is doubled.
Wow.
So if you ever feel like you're just slightly exhausted or mentally exhausted, you're like, man, I can't learn anymore, I'm tired.
Maybe
go and read a couple of pages of a novel, and your brain will just sort of fire up again, and it's like the sponge got wrung out, and there's space for more water in there.
I was talking to my wife about this, actually. It's strange the way your brain it doesn't really fill up.
Well, it fills up, and then it wants to boil over, and it wants to be like, okay, wait, I don't need this memory from when I was 5. Let's get rid of that.
And
we all of a sudden your brain starts throwing things out that you didn't want to be thrown out.
Like my password. Now listen, my computer keeps telling me that it's full. I just want to check that I'm still recording.
Oh, right.
I'm sure I am, but I'm just kind of scared. Let me just check how full it actually is, because I don't want it to...
It'll probably give you a warning at like 10% or something.
It seems okay, I think. So I've got 3 gigabytes left. That's enough.
That'll be fine. That'll be fine. Yeah, it shouldn't... We can start wrapping this thing up as well. What are you... so how often are you teaching?
Once every... I probably do like one long day every 3 weeks or something like that.
Oh, okay. So it's not super full on.
No, not at all. No, definitely the bulk of my work was playing, and thus,
and thus we're left with nothing, twiddling our thumbs.
Trying to get busy building saunas. I'm trying to record tracks.
Yeah, got to do it, man. Keep yourself occupied. Keep yourself creatively occupied. I think that's the most important thing. I see people sort of laying about, and it's good, I suppose, for relaxation. But this is the longest period in my life since I started working that I haven't been working.
It's nuts.
So it's a weird sort of thing, and I think keeping myself occupied in a way where I've got a physical result at the end. It for me, everybody's different, but I think for me that really helps. Have you been doing much writing in these couple of months, or have you got any projects that you're working on?
I haven't, I have got some projects I've been working on. I don't know, the moment took me one day, like a couple of weeks ago, and I just wrote to a couple of kind of acquaintances, really, but musicians who, maybe I was friends with online, but don't really see. I mean, cats that don't live in the UK, for example.
Yes.
And so, I'm quite excited because people got back to me and said, I'd love to do a track. And so, I've been sort of working on videos and mixes and things like that today.
Great.
It's very hard. All the different data and getting things to sync up correctly and so on. But Yeah, so I've been working more in this kind of like slightly experimental one-off way at the moment, and I haven't been really composing, but I feel like it takes me a lot of time and space to compose, and it's been a little bit frantic, even though things are kind of calm. I've just been trying to adjust to the new way of doing things, and then hopefully I'll start to write more. But writing comes for me when I'm practicing and when I'm playing a lot of guitar, and at the moment it'll be like recording a track, send it out, record a track, send it out. It's not really like that slow practice kind of thing that I need to do.
Okay.
So yeah,
I see. Have you been practicing loads?
Man, no, that's the thing. This is like the best time to practice, but I just haven't really been doing that. I've just been busy recording things for people, and
well, you're still playing, which is, it keeps the wheel rolling, and it keeps the thing going. You've not completely let go of your craft, which is I think some people are in that boat where they feel less motivated, and it's a bit harder to do. I mean, our housemate is super regimented. He's like a clock, He's, in the morning he gets up and you're gonna hear him practicing, and then he'll go and skip rope for an hour, and then he'll go back, and then he's practicing, and he does his teaching on Thursdays. But for me, that was always the hardest thing, to sit down and create my own regiment for practicing. I'm a bit more of a loose cannon, I suppose. Kind of take it when the inspiration hits me. But I want to go back to something you said earlier about formal education having the potential to kind of stop the creativity a little bit. Because I found that when, obviously, I was like you when I started playing. I learned by watching my friends play. I had an old beat up guitar that was my mum's, put some strings on it, and I was trying to recreate these things, and I got into it, and I was playing so much for probably about maybe a year and a half or so, and then start getting in touch with more people who know what they're doing. And my best friend, he's a musician. He got a scholarship in high school to go play piano, and he sang for the Drakensberg Boys Choir when he was a kid, and all these things. So he's very, he knows all the theory and all these things, and I started learning these things, and I got really into it. I wanted to be Steve Vai, and and I found that the better I got at these things, my creativity kind of took a knock for a while.
Interesting.
And I mean, I'm sure it's not forever, but it was enough to kind of put me off a little bit, and I found my sort of happy medium, because I would spend my whole practice time practicing and not ever enjoying it or playing or writing or something like that. So I guess it's my own fault. But I have, I've heard from a few people that they're like, well, the theory is kind of like stifled my creativity in some sort of way. So I just want to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's different for everyone, and I wouldn't say necessarily that theory does, but I think things have to come in the right order. I think if you like a sound and you know about a sound, then that would be a good time to then think about the theory, because you can try and understand why it sounds a certain way. But I think, one thing is that if we're not taught...
You're talking in terms of major and minor.
For example, or even in more like, more complex chords, extensions, and wrong notes, for example. Like, why are they so nice? What do they do? How do they change the implication and the direction that chords want to go in, for example? But, I mean, I use this example, I've used it before, but like Jacob Collier, right? He seems completely carefree and fearless, and it's all just his whole vibe and his whole energy is just of discovery and experimentation and having fun. And when I learned classical piano, I wasn't taught to do that. I could have been taught to do that. I think you can be taught to do that. Possibly it's tricky with repertoire, but definitely with the jazz, there are jazz grades now, and if they just teach you to improvise where you can put a bit of yourself into it, I think that can be really, really addictive. I mean, certainly I used to play music with friends, and one or two of them, I think one of them went to be a doctor of music now. So we're not in touch anymore. He doesn't play any music, but he's a doctor of music. So if you're talking about harming creativity, I mean, in terms of direct musical creativity, that's a great example of that just not happening at all anymore. Yeah. But, I'm sure he's very fulfilled. Maybe he's being creative, writing about things. I think if we stop to think about what we're playing before we play it all the time, it can be bad. And Kurt Rosenwinkel came to do a masterclass at Ronnie's, and he was saying this. He was saying that his brain would always engage when he would play something and tell him, oh, that's this, that's this. So he actually had to retune the guitar completely to a tuning that he didn't know what it was, so that his brain couldn't connect and analyze things in the same way.
Right.
I mean, I think we can probably learn to try to tune out that information.
That's the hardest thing, though, isn't it? Getting out of your own head.
Definitely, but we can be taught to focus on the sound. Comes back to that spiritual thing of just listen and really deeply listen. But yeah, it's a big topic, and it's probably the effects of theory on learning for one person are probably as varied as all of the personalities out there.
100%. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not in any way putting theory down. It's a very good thing. I think maybe for me it was probably just I just did it wrong. I know
many people do it wrong, I think.
I know the theory behind learning theory.
Yeah.
Is so that you don't have to think about it, so that you can play and express yourself without thinking about it. But maybe I just didn't quite get to the level where I wouldn't have to think about it. I remember because before I would write music, and because it sounded right, it felt right.
Yeah.
And then when I noticed a change in my writing, is that I would be like, oh, okay, wait, I can't play this because it's not the right key.
Yeah.
It sounded good before, and it felt like it was going, but it's not the right key, so I can't use this. So, but then I suppose I didn't quite get into modes or these things yet. So
you stop trusting your instincts. That's kind of the tragic thing, I guess.
Shot myself in the foot there.
Yeah, I think the same thing can happen. There's a big tradition within jazz of transcription and transcribing the greats, but what a lot of people don't do is then learn how to use the language that they've got. They learn things as very much this phrase, that phrase.
It's like a roadmap.
Exactly. Or the exact same route. They don't learn about, this is how roundabouts work. This is how roads work. You can actually go wherever you want. It's like you learn one route.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I mean that's good practice though.
Indeed.
Working on your oral training is such an important thing.
Yeah.
And something that I probably should brush up on a little bit. But in our line of work, we do kind of some sort of similar thing because we have to be able to frequency identify. We have to be able to hear something from across the room and know, okay, that's that.
Yeah.
Like for instance, if you're on stage and you're playing and there's a frequency in your monitor, and I can't physically run there and run back
you need to
try
know,
and find it. I got to know what it is. So I guess it's just putting those 10,000 hours in.
Yeah. I
don't know if I've done 10,000 hours yet. Maybe I have. Who knows? Yeah. Oh well. But dude, I am gonna go because I'm being called to dinner.
Very good.
So I'll put your social media and stuff on there, and please keep in touch with me for that track, and we can work it through, and I can maybe teach you
amazing
things.
Yeah, great. Yeah, if anyone's listening and wants to check out the music, it's in all the normal places. Just Ant Law, ANTLAW.
Great, man. And I'll in the description I'll put all your social media stuff so they can just find the link and click on it.
Oh, wicked!
Which will make it like
nice
easier.
one, man. Good to catch up, man. It's good to see a human other than my wife. Obviously, I love seeing my wife, but
but you can only see her so many times.
Nice one, man.
You want to make this last a little bit longer and not burn it out now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
And rock and
Speak
roll.
soon.
Cheers, brother. Well, there we have it. I hope you've enjoyed that as much as I have, and that you will go and check out Ant's album, The Sleeper Wakes. Check out his book, get involved, get in touch on social media, see how he's doing. You can always get in touch with me as well, see what I've been up to. I have a Patreon page, so if you would like to support the podcast, it's patreon.com/HeySoundGuy. You can support the cause there. As always, like, share, subscribe, get the word out.